If your entries needs to be on point, your take profit needs to be on point, and you have to be nimble. So like for Monday, you know, I'm so happy that I got out where I did, because if I decided to aim for a larger target, stopped out of this trade, I'd probably break even, or I would have woken up the next day and decided to get out of the trade and scratch out. So like the moves to the upside are sustained, but then the moves to the downside have been really, really aggressive. Sorry?
That was a nice trade you took on Monday, right? You're talking about there.
Yeah, and then the next day came back down. Yeah, with you and Lara on the call.
Yeah.
And then on Tuesday, the market did the same thing. It gave that sort of what looks to be a strong new bullish move to the upside. And then it gave that sort of like sharp move back down, right? And then yesterday was an accumulatory session, like for the most part, where the market really didn't do much until we then went into the New York session. And then during the New York session, we saw that the market gave a very sustained aggressive push to the upside. And so the market is obviously, so again, if we like, the market is fractal, right? So in the same way that I said that what we're here is an accumulatory phase on the 4-hour time frame, we saw pretty much the same thing happen on the 15 minutes time frame at the start of this week. So this was that sort of mini accumulatory phase that the market was in. And the market then obviously bullish break out of the accumulation range, retested the range retested the range today. And now it's given that sort of like continuation. So this is a very classic break, retest, and continuation strat that gold is giving us. And of course, that continuation will take us to a major liquidity target, which is that daily high.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's that with. So let's try now with Bitcoin dollar. So Bitcoin dollar, I'm bullish right now. I'm just waiting patiently for price to deliver a beautiful opportunity for me to get a nice buy in. Because right now, yes, bullish is the bias in the short term, but price hasn't yet presented the sort of like entry confirmation I'm looking for. And the reason I say this, I mean, the daily paints the perfect picture of a bullish structure where we've seen the market deliver a very clear break to the upside on the daily. Again, there's that fractal theme of break, retest, continue, right? Where the market has obviously given us a very clear break to the upside. So I'm just going to paint the picture here.
Walter?
There we go. Yeah.
Quick note from my side. We've been asked to quickly just log out one by one.
Yeah.
And log back in again. Sorry for interrupting your analysis there.
Okay.
Sorry, say that again, Richard. You cut off shortly.
Okay. So maybe I'll just go, then Howard, and then you, Walter. Let's do it that.
Okay.
All right. I'm leaving. I'm going to remove all of you from the stage. All right, we're back again.
Okay. Yeah,
Did you log out, Howard?
I did, yeah, completely, then back
Okay.
in.
Just waiting for Walter quick. Let's hope that resolves the issue. No, it's still happening.
Yeah, just Walter's not coming through.
These things should happen on a Monday. Technical gremlins on Mondays, not on Thursdays. Here comes Walter. He's struggling. I think he's still logging out again. Okay, it's a little bit more stable by the looks of it. No, there you go again.
Yeah, I think the two of us seem to be okay.
Yeah, but I can see you disappear, and you probably see me disappear again.
Yeah, just every so often.
Okay. All right, guys, we do apologize for that to all our viewers. This does happen from time to time, a little bit out of our hands. Just bear with us for a minute or so, and we'll be back. Analysis. Just quickly waiting on Walter to enter the room again. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. All right, Walter has to be here now. Hey, Walter.
Hey, guys. Yeah, how is it now? Is it fixed?
Sounds perfect, but I still see Howard disappearing a little bit.
I've just seen Howard disappear and yourself disappear as well.
And then you guys see me disappear as well.
Yeah. We got gremlins in the system.
Yeah, but for sure. So, I mean, a poor is on it background. So, Walter, unless we get some more instructions from him, maybe just continue where you left off.
All right.
I'm sorry for interrupting
Yeah.
your analysis.
No worries at all. Nano is so good. You gotta get this fixed, right?
Yeah.
So so what I was saying with Bitcoin, it's right now it's in a very classic break retest continuation structure. You simply cannot go wrong with this. So it's given a very nice break structure to the upside, but price is now retesting, of course, that initial range. And then from there, the most likely option or the most likely direction that I do see price moving is to the upside. Again, how far side, no idea, right? Price could simply take out. So obviously price has created these relative equal highs right here. So we can see price purchase relative equal highs, give a push above the highest point, and we could see price even potentially trade towards 114 or even 116. Right, but then the general idea is after we've seen that sort of like explosion, then we are going to potentially see another corrective move to the downside. But yeah, so if you are like, if you're someone that, for example, like I trade mainly Bitcoin, I don't necessarily focus on investing in the asset, but if you're someone that does that, then this is like a good time to probably add on to your position, because it's like sort of like 106, 107. We're potentially going to see a big move to the upside over the next few days. So what I'm now looking for is that on this is very simple, right? Price has obviously delivered this sort of like bearish correction. If you look at this, right, the market has given this correction move back down to the low of the range, right? So this is our current range right now. And this structure that we're seeing here is very similar to structure that we're also seeing on gold, right, on the 4-hour time frame. Well, sorry, on the 1-hour time frame, where gold has pretty much created this sort of like bigger accumulatory range. So again, I'm anticipating that now that the price has taken out the low of the range, what I'm waiting for is a break of structure on the 15 or the 30 minutes time frame within the range, and then that would for me determine the opportunity for me to look for a bullish buy position to the upside. So taking a look at the 30 minutes time frame, right, we've seen like from starting yesterday, the market began to make a bearish cycle to the downside. So we saw that initial low that was created, the market below that low, retested the most recent bullish bearish order block, and then gave that continuation to this morning into that third leg. And then after that, the market gave a corrective move to the upside, created a high, a new break structure to the downside. So this is a new break, right? So this is the initial low. After that, the market delivered a secondary low down there. So right now, again, there's no strong confirmation that price is ready to reverse yet. We could still see a much more sustained move where the market could take out that daily sell side target at $106,553. So if you take a look on the data, you can see the area I'm referring to. That area is the point where the market completely feels this fair value gap that still remains open. So we can see the market fill this fair value gap to the T, purging this low, and after that we could then see a very strong reactive move to the upside that could lead to a bullish break of structure. So again, 30 minutes to me is still trending to the downside, so I'm not yet ready to commit to a option on that time frame. And then the same thing as well on the 15 minutes time frame, where we saw, like, again, this full bearish cycle. The market gave a high reversal, and then after the high reversal, we saw a new break to the side right there, right? And then after that break, we saw the new leg that formed down here. And now obviously after that, we saw that third and final leg take place right there. The market then broke to the upside, traded below. So again, what is this taking place right now on the 15 minutes time frame? Accumulation. So right now the market is accumulating on the 15. 30 minutes is, I do see price preparing to give that third push to the downside. So I'm just going to wait for these, for that move to take place, and then see what kind of reaction the market gives after that. But right now, I'm not really interested in selling because like ever since then, we've seen that a lot of the selling activity started from yesterday, went into Asia today, into London session. So the likelihood of New York also like sort of being a down market is pretty slim.
Yeah.
So so that's my view on Bitcoin. So in the long run, when I say long run, I'm referring to literally within the next few days. I do see the market being bullish, but for now, I'm just waiting for the bearish intraday trend cycle to complete itself before committing to a long position.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's my thought on the Bitcoin dollar. I'm not sure if you guys have any sort of or addition to this.
No. So you're gonna try to go long there? Well, if everything falls in place, right?
Not at all. No. It's too early. Way too early.
Right.
Yeah, I think price down just a little bit more. Take out that low at 106, 509, and then after that, like if you look to the left, there's still, it's a lot of imbalance that the market would probably feel before that reaction to the upside that would indicate the beginning of a bullish reversal. But for now, it's still like on the intraday 15-30 minutes time frame. I'm still seeing opportunities for more bearishness.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's interesting how Bitcoin has headed down while the dollar is also going down. It's interesting how sometimes it does its own thing. A lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it does its own thing the majority of the time. But yeah, like there are times when it looks like it's tracking the dollar, but then it breaks away from the dollar and it makes a lot of like its own moves. But there's something I noticed actually quite interesting recently, is that Bitcoin, the way Bitcoin moves actually moves in a similar way to gold, but it's as though Bitcoin is a lagging indication. No, it's like gold is a leading indicator for Bitcoin. I know it sounds crazy, but I was, because I look at these two charts all the time, and then I just noticed some crazy similarities of price action between them, where whatever happens on gold, Bitcoin does a very similar move within either the next session or the session after that. I'm gonna I know Richard probably has something to share. I can talk a little bit more about that and show you guys some of the charts behind it later on. But
you can show that now, Walter. Have you tried using like the compare there, or are you talking about, is it a little bit lagging and then follows direction, or is it like, do we have the
say that again?
Sort of very close to each other? The correlation between the two you were talking about.
So so the correlation. So I'll show you what I mean. I'll just show you these two like side by side, right?
There's nothing happening on my side, so feel free.
And then I'll use an empty chart for this because it'll be a lot easier to see. I'll use a Binance. So it's not like a super strong correlation where all the moves happen in exactly the same way. It's more of a correlation where if you just look at the smaller like way that price moves on a daily basis, they kind of track each other. So I'll give an example. Let's say from when price basically created this low, right? Now, gold basically gave this aggressive move to the downside and then created a low before bouncing off that low. Now, what happened was, like, if you look at when this occurred, right? This sort of like explosive move came down there. Now, Bitcoin pretty much did a very similar move down, right? Bitcoin did a very similar move right here. So around the same period that this happens with gold, right? Gotcha. So they both exploded to the downside, very explosive move. And then after that, there was sort of like a rejection, and then the market began to find its level to the upside. And then like, again, Bitcoin does the same thing. It begins to recover itself. And then again, if you look at how much, so of course, like what we're seeing now is like gold is holding it to the upside, whereas Bitcoin is falling to the downside to take up the low of an accumulatory range. This move has already happened on gold. But this move happened right here, right? So the move happened right there. Gold basically accumulated, created a high, came down towards that initial low, and then rallied, broke out of the range, retested, and kept rallying. So that's kind of what we're seeing right here taking place on Bitcoin right now, right? Again, it's just a really, really weird correlation. I would advise you guys, like, just in your spare time, just go look at this, and then just like track and just go back a few days, a few weeks, and just follow the price action for gold. Have your Bitcoin next to it, and you can see how it's pretty aerial, how they're just moving in a very similar way. Like, yes, there are times when one might be more pronounced than the other. So like when gold gives a reversal, Bitcoin give a much stronger reversal, whereas gold might give a shallow reversal and then bounce from a key level, whereas Bitcoin gives a stronger reversal to a key low and then bounce from that level, right? But they still move sort of in a fashion where there are times when gold is leading and Bitcoin is trading, and there are times when Bitcoin is leading and gold is trading. And for me, that's like the kind of correlation that I see between them.
Well spotted.
Order filled.
Just trying to look here at BTC on my side. Sorry, I'm just trying to chat here with Apurv on the side quickly, or with Mega.
Right. So yeah, gold is going to give a setup today by the looks of it. I'm just going to evaluate the risk to reward potential on this trade.
Okay.
Because this is already given a break of structure to the upside. This is the area of interest. At the close of this candle, this would be a confirmed.
So you're using that as like a bullish order block type of vibe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So from the high of this count of this swing high right there, to the was created.
Okay.
And then stop goes just below the low. And then again, I'm just aiming for this, just a 1 to 2 risk to reward.
Cool. Yeah, pulling back.
Yeah, so in 2 minutes, this candle would close, and that would confirm this opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I've got one which I'm looking at right now.
All right.
On crude oil, funnily enough.
Just keep us in the loop, Walter, when you see something happens there. Just quickly swap to Howard's.
Yeah, jump in at any time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. So crude oil on the buy side. Let's just dive in. So just quickly, I watched on the thing on the break of that descending triangle on the weekly chart. So we had that massive breakdown, retest of the broken support, back down, retest the low almost, and then quite a strong week, and then it's been kind of up ever since. And here we are back on the other side of that line. So it looks to me like this is kind of a bear trap, double bottom, I suppose, if you look on this particular area. So we're clearly back above the pivotal level, which comes in around 64.5, 65. So I think we're good for perhaps a retest of the high prior to the crash that we saw, which comes in above 71.
What is that price you got there? For
I got 71.88 on the CFD. So obviously on the future it'll be a little bit different.
Interesting.
But the high prior to kind of bearish engulfing outside candle. So that's kind of the upside target. On the daily, so we had that kind of there's the low, there's the low, back up again. I was starting to kind of resell it on the after this kind of rejection on the way up, but it tried to break down, but really that I think once we got back above 63 or so, that really was it for me. I think we're back in the game. So we've since
at least
that point,
for a little while, I think as well. I'll show you a little bit later what I've got on my chart. I showed you.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, sure. But for the time being, I think the buyers have it. That we're kind of back above this pivotal level, And I think this little pullback after yesterday's big move could be an opportunity to get in for another leg higher.
Yeah, maybe even a retest of that 65. That would be even better.
Of which one?
Yeah, the break retests.
Yeah.
Yeah, but possibly. I'm kind of going on the basis that maybe today's low
Might not
could be
even
it.
get there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the way this thing has kind of pulled back. We've got the old this kind of minor high here, so maybe this is kind of early stages of the buyers coming back in after the correction. Looks like a nice 50. So I'm taking a bit of a stab at it with a stop just underneath today's low so far. If it gets taken out, then obviously we've got that potential to come back a bit further.
Order filled.
But a little bit below the market. I think 10-15 pips below the market. So or ticks. We'll see what we do. So if it kicks in, I'll let you know, guys. Back to you.
All right. You guys okay if I share mine quick?
Go for it.
Yeah, of course.
You'll see that I changed my charts up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Stop,
What
Phil.
colors have you gone?
Lots of colors. You'll see now.
Did you get inspired by my charts and decided, huh?
I did, but it looks pretty wild. But I think you'll appreciate it, especially from the market maker model type of people follow. Let me just see if that's going to come up now. There we go.
Ah, you go for the green and black.
NASDAQ, and I think who earlier, James, that asked about the session indicators. So I'm just doing the analysis here on the TV charts, and you can't really see it there. I wish I could actually make this a bit bigger. This box over here is the Asian session, London session, and then I've got actually an AM and a PM session for the New York. All right. Then we got built-in fair value gaps that automatically plot, and then we also have bullish and bearish order blocks that also blocked. Right now, obviously, a lot going on here. But if we look, for example, let's just take a look at what happened during the London session, for example. Classic up, and although this was on the NASDAQ, took out the Asian session lows, reversal to the upside. Typically what I look for during a reversal after an important level has been taken out, in this case, I didn't trade this. Obviously, I will look for this during either the AM or the PM session on the New York side of things. But classical fair value gap to the downside as price an important level.
Order filled.
And then it gets reversed to the upside again, giving you an inverse fair value gap. Now, obviously, you can go to a 1 minute time frame if you really want to fine tune into that trade over there. And this is a very, very nice type of setup. Price here gave us a beautiful fair value gap on the 1 minute. Again, I'm just going over what I'll be looking for during the New York session, right? So this is just an example. So price broke the New York session, the Asian session during the London session, quite a lot of fair value gaps. And that last one immediately got reversed back to the upside. A lot of traders will call this change of character. And you can see these green plots over here were fair value gaps that also occurred in the opposite direction. Price retested a few times, and Bob was your uncle.
Nice reaction to the upside.
I actually quite often do this FTSE, which works really well during the London session, doing the same similar sort of thing, where it takes out the Asian session high or low, and then, get a reversal in the opposite direction. So this happens over and over and over again. So yeah, a lot of different colors on my chart at the moment. Let's just go back to a 5 minute. For some reason, my charts are very blurry. Do they look clear on your side?
Yeah, looks okay.
They look clear. They look.
Yeah.
It's weird when I switch to StreamYard on my side, the charts they start blurring. But in any case, yesterday same thing here. New York AM session takes out the London session, same thing, reversal back to the upside, right? And this was yesterday during those CPI numbers. Price made a move up, and then it retraced right into 10:30 a.m. New York session open. All of that fair value gap that was formed to the upside. And in my opinion, that was a very bearish type of, behavior. And the rest from the day, price trended low. I can go over previous days as much as I want. Obviously, we want to know what's going to happen today here. So we've had, obviously, this move higher.
Order
the
filled.
London session, and we've had a continuation to the upside. We still have the Asian session high around about 21,876, which is this orange line over here. So I think we're probably going to have a bit of a continuation to the upside. Now, what's going to happen during the PM session, I don't really know. I won't be trading that. But I would be looking for bullish setups to occur during the the morning session, New York morning session. So we can get a bit more deeper retracement, maybe back into this fair value gap, which is this green block over here. Then that might be a opportunity to go long on the NASDAQ. Okay. I'm not going to show the ES right now. Obviously, they behave very similarly. But there's something else also loaded that I've used to do in the past, and that is to actually go to a 1 minute time frame. And you were talking about correlation between the Bitcoin and gold to some extent, right? We obviously know that the NASDAQ and the are very highly correlated. But something you'll find very interesting is that if I were to compare the ES over the NASDAQ, you'll very find, and you have to do this on a small time frame, in my opinion, because very often, I must actually go back a few days here to find you a decent example of what I mean by all of this.
Stop filled.
Wow, that is an almost perfect correlation.
So, insane correlation. But when you get to these situations where, and especially you're looking at an area that you might potentially want to trade, and the pink line here is the ES, for example. See how it made higher highs?
Yeah.
Where the NASDAQ made high and then a lower high. And when you see this very, very sort of short-lived incorrelation or uncorrelation, then typically it reverses. You can clearly see how correlated they are. But I've seen this over and over and over again. Here's a good example. During the last sort of morning hours before the NASDAQ
Order
and
canceled.
the ES, for that matter, into the PM session. It might be a little bit difficult to see, but you can see here on the NASDAQ continues higher.
Order submitted.
Just for a slight moment, the ES does something else, right?
Interesting.
And this occurs, and I find quite a lot at levels you know, when there's like manipulation, or you think there's manipulation, or a run of a previous session high or low, whatever the case might be. And if you need that temporary or just fraction of a minute or so where the one market disconnects from what the other one's doing in price action, then you typically get reversals during that window.
Yeah, so that's called SMT diversion or divergence.
TSI or something like that. I can't remember what they call it.
Yeah. So SMT divergence, usually we see that for between between pound dollar and euro dollar.
Euro dollar,
and at times between the DXI and the euro dollar. So where
Correct.
there's a convergence in around the high between pound dollar and euro dollar, and or where there is a divergence around the same high or the same low, it's usually an indication of a reversal about to take on one of the assets.
That's right.
There's a very similar thing, yeah.
So, you know, you can use this as much as you want, and you can't really go and trade every single instance
Of
where
course.
they're not correct.
Mm.
But, you know, I find if you do go and, you know, try to see if you see that at areas you want to trade, then you're actually dealing with a high probability change in direction.
Mm.
So, anyway, just that's my 2 cents worth. I did show this chart for the first time yesterday. I'm running this on the 5 minute and the 1 minute. 1 minute again, trying to just fine tune the entries, trying to see that correlation a little bit on the 1 minute, because as soon as I go to 5 minute, I just can't pick it up. These time frames are too small to also. I think you really need to focus on a small time frame to see once they actually disconnect from each other a little bit. Anyway, my thinking is that the NASDAQ will probably continue higher for the remainder of our session, at least, unless we start seeing some crazy downwards turn here. You can see that price just took that Asian high. So my thinking was, since we've seen that strong push upwards here when the PPI numbers came out, that we will potentially see a continuation to the upside, at least to the afternoon session. Right, so I don't have any trades going right now. Howard, yes, crude oil.
Yeah, looking to buy about 10 pips below. So
right.
We're not there yet. It's had a bit of a bounce, and it had to sort of top out a little bit on the.
I just want to show you what I did here yesterday on crude oil, and obviously both you and me, and I mean, I think every trader in the world, that the patterns were identified a descending triangle.
Yeah.
And then obviously we had to move up. I thought we might get some sort of an ABC, and you'll see that I on my chart have a. Let me just get my path tool out here. A shift pitchfork. And generally you get an ABC, a high degree, they'll end at your upper median line if it moves upwards, and then you get a move lower again, right? That price busted through that upper median line. Let's just blow this up a little bit.
Is that crude or?
And yesterday, during yesterday's session here, I was saying next target could be 67.52.
I can just. I
think it's the
NASDAQ chart. We haven't got the crude chart.
Is that the NASDAQ chart now?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh no. Jeez.
Now the crude chart.
Too many buttons to push. ABCs typically end at the upper median line or low median line, depending on which direction they're moving, when you use a shift pitch, because they typically, you know, have measured moves. Your A wave and your C wave typically extend the same sort of range, or measured moves as they call it. Now, we were watching this yesterday, and price was breaking above this during yesterday's morning session. And I just want to show you why I'm not using a different setting here, because it's a very visual tool. If I go to just a normal Andrews pitchfork, you can see price left the boundaries of that pitchfork setting. It's just the angle is steep. So this is useless to use this setting, in my opinion. So next thing, just purely visuals, is to mess around with your settings. And you can see here, if you use a shift set, price previously found support at that center median line multiple times. And then they typically, when they extend towards a new line, in this case from the center median line to the upper median line, they act as magnets, right? So yesterday we were just breaking above this median line, or the upper median line. So I was mentioning to people, we're probably going to see a 67.50, which is this 50 median line here. And then to the upside, around about 69.92, or slightly bit higher, let's call it 69, almost 70, would be this upper red warning line.
Okay, cool.
Price might be moving towards.
Yeah.
So
and you got a lot
what
of
I like about your trade there, Howard, is that it broke above this dash median line, and it's now struggling to get through it. It might act as support.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And if it does actually move higher, 69.96, I think it's a good sort of target.
Come on.
And we had this little gap here that occurred at the beginning of April.
Come on. Let's
I think
go.
if price moves into that, it's probably going to take out this lower high that you mentioned previously, around the 72.
It's an interesting area, and a bit further along in, I think, back end of April, got a bit more resistance as well, just above it. So there's a bit of a zone going on, I think.
Yeah.
So a good kind of target for longs, I think.
My thinking still was, you know, after a triangle that lasted for so long, I mean, multiple months, actually, what's this?
Target
At least
filled.
1 year.
Yeah.
More than 1 year.
Yeah, looking at for a year
No,
since March.
They typically
Crazy.
occurs your last correction or your fourth wave correction prior to a reversal back upwards. Now, whether that reversal is going to be corrective in nature, retrace most of this, who knows? Sort of been anticipating that. The only thing that bothers me a little bit here, I just want to hide that quickly, is if this was the end of a descending triangle, then I can only really count, I mean, clearly 5 waves down here.
A failure fifth.
Because this low that occurred here on the beginning of May didn't break that previous low.
Dang it.
Yeah, it's a bit
So I don't know.
but it's one of those things where
So fast.
when you go back up, after so many cycles, you say, yeah, that was a failure fifth. And there is a possibility.
What's the
that
term
could be a
for it
failure
again?
fifth,
There's an actual term for it where it doesn't break the fifth, but comes very close to it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be.
So
It could be, but.
So that might, sort of explain if you disrupt this wick that occurred over here. Because if you go to a smaller time frame, like let's say 4 hour, because I don't know if you remember this, but we were talking about this the other day. Is this a 1-2-1-2 type of move? And this clearly looks like a beautiful 5-wave move here. Potentially with a level 5th wave, it's this low here, and then that's it.
So I'd be inclined to call that failure fifth, so it breaks down into a clear 5.
If that is the case, then crude oil can move quite high, in my opinion, current levels. So I'm personally bullish crude oil, at least to those targets I've shown you.
Would you ever consider entering a swing position for this? So let's say that the market came down to retest. So if you go into like the 4-hour time frame, there is still scope for the market to come down to retest that range is recently broken out of, right? So if we do see that sort of move back down towards 60, I think it was 64.
Order filled.
I think around $64.
81, somewhere around there. If you look at this high over here, let me just find my magnet mode here. 64.83, maybe a bit higher.
Looks like I should have stayed in.
Pitchforks work really well as areas to buy and sell at as well, the support and resistance.
Actually, I'm liking that.
If I have to just do that, for example, because there's a real chance that if price respected this setting or these angles previously, that will do so in the future.
Take that hit.
We have one crazy move to the upside here. Let me just path a few different ways for you here.
Stop filled.
Then I would expect resistance to come in here because your red warning lines are quite often very strong resistance areas. Then potentially a move back like this could get me into a trade. Or even deeper, if price would do this, retest that upper median line. This is what we call a zoom of a median line, and typically they get retested at some stage again. Now that's very close to these previous highs. This will be a sweet to try and get long and try to hold it for an extended period of time. Or if price doesn't hold here,
comes down, retest that level.
And do that. So I'm setting alerts at, let's say, close to that zone. So if price crosses down, and you leave it till July 12th, I'll get an email and I'll know. Obviously, I'll be watching these charts every day, you know. So that's just my part. I'm quite bullish, like you said. We sort of an agreement there, which is a good thing. Sort of seeing the same thing. But yeah, ideally, I would like to get in a little bit lower and then try to swing it back up. And I think if I
Order
get here
filled.
with the expectation to hold this for a few weeks or so, then I think it's a little bit too high.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point there will be a decent multi-bar correction. I'm just going on the kind of on the shorter term stuff, looking for a bit of extension higher.
It's perfectly fine. Yeah. Cool. That's me. Still battling with this cold, and my nose is like congested.
Still got it.
But anyway.
You've had it for a couple of days now.
Yeah.
Have you
The kids
taken
bring it
anything
home
for
from school, and then I get it, and then my wife's gonna get it. But anyway, I don't feel terrible. It's just irritating. Right.
Okay.
By the way,
I'm
already my trade executed on gold. So just a quick one. So price gave that confirmation. I had a pending order at. So price came in already in this trade now, so that's executed my triggered my pending stop at the low, and of course aiming for just the 1 to 2 to the upside. So it's pretty much exactly the same as what I mentioned. Yeah. So now it's to see. So price is very close to that daily. No doubt I will take it as a question of whether it's going to make that sweep to the upside, and then we could see a much more super aggressive reversal, or round where it sort of comes down into the order block, trades a little bit deeper into the order block, and then from there takes out the high. And it will probably maybe, if it does this, if it takes out the sell side first, then it's probably going to be a very aggressive move to the upside before maybe tomorrow Asia session we could see the beginning of a reversal. But yeah, so what price is going to prefer. Hopefully it takes a short route. That's kind of what I betted on. But if it stops me out, no problem. In that case, what I'll be anticipating is for price to essentially take the longer route to the upside. So obviously just entering at this level down here would give a much better risk to reward in terms of the opportunity. So yeah, so we'll see what price does. But right now I'm just in this trade that's already executed. So now it's a waiting game.
Awesome. Good job. Good morning, Robert. How are you doing?
Oh, look at that.
Hey, Rob.
Oh.
What's that?
Oh.
Boom.
The buyers are coming. The buyers are coming in.
It's Walter dropping
But
the 3
they're coming in.
million.
They're coming in a bit too early. Yeah. So this is a sell
so
opportunity.
nice.
Interesting.
You
I didn't think that
happen to
was
see
going to
this.
happen, but looks like it is. But what's the
Coming in.
potential risk to reward on this?
It looks like it's breaking above.
But I get a
Let's
1
see
to
if there's
2.
a small
Okay.
retest.
Right. I didn't think that was going
To
happen.
go short.
But yeah, Bitcoin has presented a nice opportunity to sell. I mean, the general idea is this, right? The 15 minutes is sort of still in the middle of its bearish cycle. So I'm anticipating a completion at some point in New York. So what the market did, it trapped below this low. As you can see this, right? This is an accumulatory range. So the market is obviously taking out the low of the range, come up to take out the high of the range. Thereafter, obviously, the next move is back down towards the low. So let me see if I can this potential move back to the downside. This is the order block range.
Would you call that
Stop loss ideally around where price
the
is.
AMD model? Call it accumulative manipulation. Would you call that something like? Is it the AMD model?
So what did you say,
Accumulative
Richard?
manipulation distribution.
Potential, not within
All right.
this
That's
context,
the retest.
for me, this is just a trend. This is just a trend continuation. And when I say trend continuation, I'm simply referring to the intraday, so like to this. But yeah, it's just a continuation of this current intraday trend to the downside. Let's see if I can get that executed as a mark. Let's see, go in this 0.1. Sell.
Order filled.
All right, so that's in.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, so
what
there's
was that?
two different trades now. Say that again.
It was over 1 to 2R, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
so
you're
looking at
losing
like a 1 to
$3
2.5 ish on Bitcoin, and then a 1 to 2R to be exact on gold.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so let's see, because two things: either price comes down, takes out the low, and then from there we could see a move to the upside where we structure, and that would sort of confirm the beginning of a bullish reversal, or because again, where that I think I've mentioned this quite a few times, but the 800 EMA on every time frame acts as some sort of a dynamic area of support and resistance for price.
Okay.
We're close to it, it tends to gravitate towards it. It tends to be like a magnet for price. So for me, just that confluence of where there is sort of like this unmitigated zone down here where price hasn't, like, it broke away from this range but didn't retest it, and B, 800 EMA, there's the close of this daily imbalance. So again, it's like a very volume rich area within this range. I'm anticipating like, okay, the market could go back, refresh itself at an area of buy side pull before giving that shift towards this major sell side pull. But then knowing Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a tendency of doing this as well. Like, I'll show you an example where on the weekly time frame, it has a tendency where it can come very close to retesting a previous area, a previous breakout. It looks like it's going to, and then it just like, and then just sustains that movement to the upside.
Order filled.
So this could happen to me right now, where it comes close but doesn't quite take it, and then gives that sort of committed move to the upside. So it's a very classic structure with Bitcoin that I've come to expect if it happens. But yeah, so that's the update on my end. I'll keep you guys posted in terms of how the
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to show my screen for a little bit, if I may. So the crude oil, it's not getting too much. So it's sort of nibbling higher on the 30-minute chart. Let's go. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm just waiting for a bit of a pullback above this previous high around here. So 2025 or so pullback, and then looking for the market to continue and retest the swing high at least. So that's that. Apart from that, it looks like a little bit of a correction's starting to take shape on. It's had a nice run last couple of days, obviously. So that could be it for the time being. So it looks a little bit climactic on the short-term chart. So maybe we're just into some kind of choppy 1 or 2 day range, which gives us an opportunity to get back in at lower levels. So I'm quite happy to be out of this one for the time being. It's had quite an aggressive run, and obviously dollar yen benefits when we get the corrective higher in the dollar. So dollar yen seems to be finding a bit of support. So the dollar seems to be having a bit of short covering after this kind of 2 day swing, 1.5 day swing. So kind of staying on the sidelines, I think, for the being. But big picture, obviously, just going back to euro dollar, big picture is still extremely bullish in my opinion. So in that we've had wave 1 from the 2022 low, an 8 for wave 2 into the January low, and then here we are. We're kind of trending higher in what looks to be wave 3. Get rid of this arrow. So we had this kind of 3.5, 4 week pullback with a bull hammer here, broke through the high of it 3 weeks ago, and now we're just grinding higher. So looks to be quite constructive. Very happy to be looking to buying dips on this thing. I think we're kick out mode, and we're going to be going much higher on that.
Howard, would you have very long-term positions on that? For example, let's say you expecting a third wave, impulsive wave.
Yeah.
It's upside.
Thinking that was a 1 and a 2, then I mean a third wave can travel extremely far, right? So that's something you would be holding for like multiple weeks, months, even.
No, I'm literally just using it as my kind of filter to do a lot more longs than shorts.
Okay.
Gotcha. So I'm not going to be holding. I won't. I'll keep it on the right side of the market. I think the wave count has been pretty good the last few months. Just keeping on the right. But I'm not going to be holding at 127 or something. If you're into that, then great. It's probably not a bad place to have a crack at it.
Maybe 0.001 lots, but then I think your overnight fee eats into your profits.
Just forget about it. Yeah, to be fair. But I think we're in a similar back in 2002-3 in terms of cycle. Just out.
Okay.
Can it go back any further than that? So this was the last major low, and then we based out, and that was kind of the start of a multi-year advance for euro dollar, decline in the US dollar. And I think we've done that break of resistance. By comparison, I guess we're up about here. So I've got a long way to go on a multi-year basis. And it ties in with the US presidential cycle as well. I think I might have mentioned it before, where going back at least until Bush 2 and Clinton, the Republican.
The atmosphere. Look at Ivy Dawn with her bootstrap.
Before that, Nixon kind of let the whole thing go.
What do you say, the presidential cycle, as they call it?
Yeah. So typically, the US dollar has declined during Republican administrations.
I think we're going to be hitting
and advanced during Democrat for whatever reason. Don't know why. It just seems to be. Maybe they like to a weaker currency.
Do things differently.
I mean, well.
Yeah.
Evident.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, Republicans don't see a problem with a weak dollar.
That
so
could be
them
it.
It's like,
I don't know. That could be it. If you look back over the last few presidencies, I think certainly since Clinton.
Order filled.
So Clinton dollar strongly up. We had Bush 2 dollar strongly down. Obama dollar strongly up. Trump dollar down, the Biden dollar up, and Trump so far.
Small win day wasn't really.
So for whatever reason,
I wonder if there's a correlation with that and interest rates, because
with the way price,
the Democrats they prefer higher interest rates. Republicans prefer lower interest rates, generally speaking, especially when it comes to corporate tax.
I don't know, because a lot of people say, well, it's all about the Fed control things, not the administration.
Actually,
so
right.
I don't know.
Influenced by the administration as well.
Yeah.
We just had too tight of stops.
That's what it is.
Because now it looks like it's finally going to go up.
So everything's aligned. So
it's full moon now as well. So the market's going to pick up now, or they're going to go down.
Oh my God. And dollar index while we're at it, I guess, just to show you the same kind of the flip side to that. I think we've looked at this one before, the long-term wave count on dollar index. So This actually goes
Ooh,
back
it's coming down.
some ways. There we go. Back to the 80s. So the Plaza Accord was up here. So the dollar, obviously under Reagan, the dollar really ramped up and then it crashed afterwards once they did the Plaza Accord.
Order
In
filled.
1985. So the long-term trend for the US dollar, even going back to
contracts
71
here.
when the gold, when it was taken off the gold standard kind of thing, the dollar has been in a long-term downtrend. So we get these very powerful counter-trend rallies, but they are counter-trend rallies. They have been counter-trend rallies. And I believe the last one went from 2008 to 2022. So this for me breaks down into a corrective sequence. And the dead giveaway really, if we weren't sure about the longer term count, I guess has been the ABC rally from the wave one low, A, B, and C. That tells me that the longer term trend is down again. So that's the major high, that's the first wave down, that's the corrective high, and here we are breaking down in wave three, I believe. That should take us at least down to these levels, 90 odd.
Yeah, that will be insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If that's,
I think
I
we've
don't
got
know I don't know if the economy will be able to withstand the dollar being that low. Yeah.
I mean, it may come down here and just base out and then settle into a range again. But I think ultimately it will make new all-time lows. I think it will take out this 2008.
I think at
all-time
some
low.
point, the Fed will probably step in before it gets down that low,
What it is.
and sort of like with some capital injection measures
They're gonna take small
to
losses. This is
at
actually
least leave the dollar trading. So
trade.
Yeah,
at around
but
87.
Yeah.
What?
But then it's kind of a rock and a hard place, because if they do that, that's really inflationary, and then there'll be a big flight of
it's one
capital out
trade
of the states, I
over,
would
like, if we
imagine.
were to take 4
Yeah.
points in a row.
Yeah.
It's kind of they've reached the end of the end of the line. Who can we tap next? But it does from an Elliott perspective, from a cyclical perspective, and from the political
does kinda
perspective,
look
to
like
me, it looks like there's only one way to go for this thing on a multi-year basis. So that's why all of my trading is,
As you
or most
say,
of my
you know, you might not be completely right.
Stop,
It
Phil.
doesn't really matter, but you're on the right side because of the analysis that you perform, right? So
Order filled.
that obviously gives you insight what to do with the pound or the euro, you know, which would be bullish. So you know, the whole thing
I
might
mean,
just morph
with the
into
weekly-
one crazy thick of a triangle that's going to go on for like 50 years. You know what I mean?
I mean, I find it quite interesting, and
Which is
as well
also-
how, I mean, obviously we've seen the dollar is getting weaker. Donald Trump is still, I mean, I think these are sort of distractions, but I mean, his recent announcement of giving $1,000 to every sort of like a newborn American citizen, and you know that $1,000 is going to be locked into an investment fund, and that would obviously track the U.S. stock market. That child will have access to the funds at the age of 18. Have you guys heard of that, by the way? This is something he announced earlier this week. Yeah, so earlier this week. Again, whether Congress is going to give the green light on it is questionable. But he made an announcement officially that he wants to ensure that every newborn American, if you were born after 2024, you're going to be eligible to get in $1,000 in an investment fund that will be locked in until you turn 18.
Wow.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish
We'll
I had
see.
$1,000
So I think these are
when I was born,
distractions.
I'll be rich by now. If I didn't touch it.
It's what you call the magic money tree.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
See if that happens.
But it's crazy because I think like a lot of people are obviously talking about how, you know, the American dollar has been dumping since he came into administration, and his promises were going to make the dollar stronger and all that kind of stuff, but it's not living up to those promises. So it's trying to find other ways to keep people essentially happy for him. You know, that he's doing something good for the economy.
Bad days.
Yeah.
horrible Monday last week.
So,
While we're doing
back.
5 minutes, guys, from the viewers. We do still apologize about this issue we've been having this morning. Hopefully, it doesn't persist into the afternoon when the other coaches come on. But we do still have a bit of time before the morning session ends. So if you got any questions, please feel free to ask. Robert, are you at work already? Or you're off to work already? Sorry.
Robert's probably on the way to work at this point.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Yeah. No chance of me
Already
getting
know his
filled.
full schedule.
Anyways.
Know when he's at work, know when he's on his lunch break,
Peace.
know when is leaving work, when he's on the way home from work.
We know everything about you, Robert.
Yeah, no chance of me getting filled on this crude trade by the looks of things. So
Is it not filling? Yeah.
no, it's just grinding higher.
Might just go higher from here. Yeah, guys.
Yeah, I mean, like the gold,
sort of just
the gold
grinding
trade and the
upwards.
Bitcoin trade is still, yeah, they're still rolling. Bitcoin is still
You wanna
bouncing
share
around,
your
gold is still
screen,
bouncing
Walter,
around.
before we end our session, because there's nothing happening on my side.
Oh yes, of course.
He's just about to
Indeed,
leave, says
indeed.
Robert.
You see what I mean? Just about to go. There we go. There we go. So yeah, so gold is still sort of like bouncing around entry level. So right now, no true commitment. So this is probably going to keep on moving sort of like after our session is over. But of course, my next session, which will be on Monday, I'll sort of give an update on this. And then for Bitcoin still in range. So again, still in this trade. It's traded a little bit deeper into that order block. Again, we'll see if it respects or takes out the high. And then obviously from there, we can sort of see, whether there's a new commitment to the upside. But for now, I'm still sticking to this as a bearish bias.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's that with both. You know, it's been a very active. Yeah, it's like session today was super active, especially for gold, for Asia, for London, particularly. We saw that big move and then that reversal to the upside. So it would be nice to see if New York session we see a new commitment for this upward move.
Killing us here. We kind of put ourselves initially in this
We're losing you there,
position.
but
We
Let's
did
take a look at
get
this.
semi out of it. We probably should have ended there. Took one more trade, hoping to get
Yeah, my
stuff back.
my side
Yeah,
not really a whole
that's
lot going
that.
on now.
I mean, what's the deal with this?
That's kind of what it is, man.
Yeah,
guys, I think we should just cut it.
and tomorrow Friday. I mean, tomorrow's gonna be
to trade more on
This-
account, 'cause, you know,
yeah because of the it just
Yeah,
keeps
there's
freezing,
just 2
right?
minutes
But-
left anyway, a minute and a half. So I think let's call it a day.
You know, that's what it is.
Most of the action's passed already.
Yeah,
Hopefully they can resolve what's happening behind the scenes, so the next coach is going to have a bit more of a smoother ride than us.
And,
But we've made a note here, so I'm
Anyways,
sure we'll
all of
address it
us.
and sort it out when we're on back next again. Right, so yeah, a minute short of the Q2 mark. Howard, thanks so much for joining again. Nice seeing you.
Pleasure, guys.
Walter, have a good one. I'm actually not going to be on Monday, Walter. It's a public holiday here in South Africa, so I think it's just going to be you and Lara.
Oh yes.
Enjoy. Have a nice long
So,
weekend.
It is a paper
I'm
trade.
going to have a long weekend trying to
Have
get
a great one.
cold and see.
You know, whatever you wanna call it,
If
but
not, then I'm going to
you
drink a
get
few
it in
strong
the
whiskeys.
Yeah.
You hold it
Anyway,
for a long
Enjoy.
awesome. Have a good
Take
one,
care.
lads.
time.
Take care,
Take
guys.
care. That's right.
The rate.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Look at our scalps. We're negative. So it is what it is.